Hi there, welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Lindholm. And I think it's time for us women to shift the conversation in business and step into our feminine leadership to do the most iconic work the aesthetic industry has ever seen. Each week, I'll be bringing a powerful dose of strategy, sarcasm, solutions, and sass that will rev up your creativity and ignite your brilliance as you link arms with me along our shared path of personal and professional growth in 20 minutes or less. Let's go. Hello, leader. Welcome back to episode 87 of the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Lindholm, the founder of KLC Consulting and the Pop Aesthetic Leadership Academy, where we are on a mission to help 100 inspiring and intentional women cross the next $1 million milestone in their business this year, which is almost over. I cannot believe it. And as we are approaching the end of 2021, wow, that's hard to believe when I say it out loud. Well, we are at a time in our academy where our clients are building their 2022 marketing plans. And recently, an interesting topic came up as it relates to gaining more visibility through influencer marketing. So I had to reference, sort of took me back to not too long ago, a few years back, I was working with a client who performed a BBL, Brazilian butt lift, at no charge on a patient who had a massive following. And that whole scenario, well, it went big time south. So basically, after the procedure, this patient who had negotiated basically a BBL to do some posting and stories and whatnot about the procedure. After she had the procedure, she was so happy with the outcome. She posted images of herself on the beach with her big old booty in a bikini, but she neglected to mention the architect of that body part. And let's just say she did not at all whatsoever comply with her agreement, and things went south. And when my client confronted her, she complained about complications. She sort of turned it really sideways. She badmouthed him. And meanwhile, prancing around in her bikini on Instagram, no one would have any idea that she wasn't happy. Now, I'm not saying that he made a bad decision to work with her, but what I am cautioning on today is that there is a specific way to approach and capitalize on the power of an influencer. So today I thought it'd be helpful to explore and share my personal experiences working with influencers in different aspects of business development. So I'd like to begin by stating that I am not a professional influencer. I'm not a booking agent. I am not an influencer marketing expert by any means, but what I can provide are my own personal recommendations for approaching the idea of working with an influencer so you can decide for yourself if using an influencer is the right move for you, and then you can approach the situation with a better command over the whole experience. So today I'm going to cover what influencer marketing is, why you might consider working with an influencer, how to choose what type of influencer to partner with, really based on the different ways they can impact your business. And I'm going to give you a few insider tips on negotiating an influencer agreement. When you think about influencer marketing today, it's almost hard to remember a time when Instagram celebrities didn't exist. Doesn't it seem like it's just the way now? Right? I mean, my own sister, she became an Instagram bikini model. And it's happening everywhere. And strange as it may seem to our now image obsessed experience on Instagram, the first influencers weren't even on social channels at all. They were bloggers. So I don't know if any of you still read blogs, but that's when the democratizing power of the internet really started to be felt. Everyday people were finding their voices and their audiences. And with the onslaught of Instagram marketing back in 2010, we found ourselves in the Kardashian celebrity influencer era. And brands all over the globe really leveraged celebrity influencers to grow their visibility, their brand reputation, and their credibility because Kim Kardashian posted how much she loved their brand. And you name it, brands all over the globe today are using the same influencer model to grow their exposure. So I won't mention the company, but I actually worked for a device manufacturer who donated a $150,000 device to a physician in Los Angeles who agreed to schedule a treatment with Kim. So that was sort of like insider, like background, back end trades that happen in the industry. So this company donated this device to an MD. He's in LA. He agreed to schedule this treatment with Kim Kardashian. And then that weekend, when she was supposed to come in for the treatment, she actually posted in real time that she was in Wyoming on a family getaway and she never came in for that treatment. So anyway, I've seen these things go sideways in many different occasions. That's a story for later. But ultimately, the early focus of influencer marketing, take Kim K as an example, was really on audience size, getting your product out in front of millions of people, if not 10 or even 100 million. And that was just a no-brainer goal of advertising, getting that message out in front of audiences that were actually connected in some way to the person spreading that message. That really just started to add a layer of authenticity, perceived or real, but that could help real people achieve results ultimately beyond what the most popular Super Bowl TV ad could do. And here we are now just in this era of crazy influencer marketing. But times have changed a lot. Really, the nexus of influence has shifted from celebrities to just about anyone who has a phone. The appeal of this micro influencer, which is your everyday person, and it's built on authenticity. And in some cases, a micro influencer's lack of celebrity or status can make them even more influential. They're normal people. They have independent voices that are not polluted by corporate or politically corrupt forces. They're relatable, right? They're like your normal people that you can look to and say, they're like me. I want to be just like them, instead of that Kim Kardashian or that really, really high volume, high impact celebrity who you feel kind of out of touch with or feels out of reach. So I was looking at some stats, and according to businessinsider.com, in 2019, the influencer industry more than doubled its 2017 market size to $8 billion. And that number is expected to rise to $15 billion by next year in 2022. So what that means for me as a coach in the aesthetic industry is that brick and mortar retailers, med spas, and physicians could effectively make a geographical impact in their market by accessing the influencer in their community, very often at a reasonable out-of-pocket expense. After all, who doesn't want a free aesthetic treatment, right? But, yes, there's a but, a successful partnership with an influencer takes strategic planning, discernment, and critical analysis to determine if that influencer will actually influence, i.e., their recommendations will lead to cash in your pocket. After all, influencers are someone or something with the power to affect the buying habits or quantifiable actions of others. So let me repeat that because I think we get this mixed up a little bit. Influencers are someone or something with the power to affect the buying habits or quantifiable actions of others. So, what should influencers actually be influencing? This is the $1 million question. And it's a question that you first need to ask yourself before you take the bait from an influencer in your community. And believe me, they will put it out there. Okay. So here are some things I would ask myself. One, am I looking to stimulate brand awareness? Essentially, just get more followers, likes, or more eyes on my specific proprietary method or service, right? And want to get more exposure. Number two, am I looking to grow my social celebrity? So basically, I would partner with an influencer here to act as social proof that my products and services are legit because even a celebrity seeks me out for them, right? And then number three would be, are you looking to make a direct impact on sales? So this might be like through a commission or a referral fee, right? Here's my discount code. And you can actually track the impact that that influencer is making because they're getting direct sales for you, right? So it's really important to first identify and name your reason for linking arms with an influencer because this will determine how to choose who to partner with as an influencer. So Influencer Marketing Hub talks about 4 different types of influencers. So there's a nano influencer. So that's an influencer who has 1,000 to 10,000 followers. So that would be someone like me. There's a micro influencer. That's someone who has between 10,000 to 100,000 followers. So that would be someone like a Lori Robertson. A macro influencer has 100,000 to 1 million followers. That would be someone like a Jason Emmer. A mega influencer has 1 million plus followers. That would be your Kim Kardashian. So based on your goal, there are several different types of influencers you might choose to work with. A celebrity is someone who has big time power to get a lot of eyes on a product. But if you're a service-based business, a local influencer may be someone who has a stronger following in your community and has a greater impact on a cohort of people who could become lifelong loyal clients in your brick and mortar business. Now, let me ask you, think about this. Of the names I mentioned, who do you think would have the most impact on driving business to you? Now think about who would be most likely to drive the most business that actually books high-end procedures and stays with you for a lifetime. Your answer most likely isn't Kim K, but you never know. But that probably depends on your brand strategy. But in any case, knowing your audience and knowing people who know people who can refer and create positive recognition for your brand is really an excellent pathway to stimulating growth. But how you go about achieving that is the important thing. So I mentioned in the beginning of this podcast the story of my client's experience with the influencer and her BBL. My personal opinion is that the key to effective execution and impact with an influencer comes down to the relationship, the understanding, and the contract. So you might think to yourself, what in the world do I pay an influencer? Well, the answer to that question depends on the goal, on the influencer, and on the impact you're looking to make. So let's say you have a local PTA mom with a fierce mom following who's going to introduce your service and practice to a solid 50 to 100 other women. You may start with a smaller, high profit, low downtime procedure like a facial or microneedling and work your way up to a more cost-intensive facial balancing or maybe a minimally invasive procedure and then take it from there. Some professional brand influencers will already have agents, literally booking agents with standard contracts. Be sure to fully vet their reach and influence by evaluating the quality of their engagement, not just their following, which is often falsified and paid for. So you can see how there's really different approaches. And I'm sharing 2 with you, like the PTA mom or the celebrity, but you can see how there's really a range how you would interact with an influencer based on your approach, based on what your goals are. Once you've identified your goal, how you want to work with an influencer, who the right fit is for driving like-minded patients to your practice, then it's time to put a contract in place. When drafting influencer contracts, I recommend being very, 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 very specific. Be sure to include language that outlines exactly what you expect of them with a given frequency and a timeline. A client of ours recently worked with a reality TV star influencer in her community, and here are a few of the things she outlined in her contract. So she talked about the specific compensation to the influencer, which in this case was special kind of proprietary facial, with some like minimally invasive aspects of it. So she has a special name for it. And then she talked about the number of posts that she expected. So in this case, it was 2 posts and 1 stories or a TV, some sort of a TV advertisement. If she was going to be on TV, she was going to talk about it, and specified that posts and stories must be to all people, not just to close friends. And then she talked about the medium. So if it's going to be out on a blog, it would, in this case, the influencer had a blog. There was 1 blog post. There were 2 posts or reels and 1 story on IGTV. There was 1 post and 1 story on Facebook, 1 Twitter post, 2 TikTok posts, 1 YouTube post, or the video was on her YouTube channel. And, there were other conversations about Snapchat and Twitter And then talking about the timeline. So she really specified that the first post would go out within 7 days of the agreement, the second within 14 days, etc. And then also that there would be no post to any competitive content for a period of time. So in this case, it was about 6 months. And then there was a conversation about mandatory hashtags and handles, etc. And then where this influencer would post a purchase link. So where would they be going to purchase? And so that was all negotiated in the contract as well. So you can also talk to your lawyer about language to protect confidential information regarding your services and techniques, and really protect the ownership of any intellectual property. So if you're doing the videos and images with this influencer, whose intellectual property is that? Does it belong to the practice? So just some things to think about as you're going through drafting up that contract, thinking about this whole idea of influencer marketing. The bottom line here, leader, is tread carefully when it comes to engaging in influencer relationships. They can be powerful, but they are just as likely to backfire if they are not executed properly. So take it slow, test them out, and then expand from there. And really be discerning about how much you invest in terms of time and resources as it relates to the total cost for you of the procedure and its delivery, and also of value to that influencer. Okay. Well, those are my 2 cents for what it's worth, and I hope it helps you think a little bit more about how to approach influencer marketing for your business. Have an amazing day, leader, and I will talk to you next week. Thank you for joining me for this episode of The Fierce Factor. If you enjoyed the show, please make sure you subscribe so you can automatically get new shows every week. I'd also love it if you left us a review. And come join the conversation online. If you're an aesthetic industry owner, operator, or leader, please join my free Facebook group, The Tribe of Fierce Aesthetic Leaders, a community of ambitious, purpose-driven professionals who collaborate and share best practices for growth in business and life. I'm honored you tuned in.